Hello and welcome to Where the Road Rises, Law, Lessons, Legacy, with me, your host, Eileen Kerlin-Walsh. Our mission here, as you well know, at Channel 4 is delivering valuable information relevant to your lives. And since many of you are retired and retiring baby boomers, Social Security plays a key role in your financial health. With good advanced planning, you can maximize your Social Security benefits, adding up to tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of retirement. But Social Security strategies can be difficult to navigate. And it's not the Social Security Administration's job to advise you when and how to take your benefits to your greatest good. So we look to independent advisors who understand the strategies to weave those maximum benefits into our financial plan. And our guest today, Sue Ellen Hawking, has just such expertise. She is the owner of Hawking Financial Group here in Palos Heights. She's a financial planner and an educator. For 30 years, she has helped families reach their financial goals through sound retirement strategies, legal tax avoidance, wealth accumulation, and estate preservation. She has written newspaper articles, hosted TV programs, and taught extensively in her field, including classes still to this day right here at Moraine Valley. So she's going to tell us what baby boomers want to know about Social Security strategies. So welcome, Lynn.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you.
Oh my, we're delighted to have you here. And let's start with that big question that most baby boomers want to know. Will Social Security be here for us when it's our time to retire?
I believe, yes, it will be. I think Social Security is really the third rail of politics. That the reason they're not getting their act together to try and make sure that it lasts for all of our lifetimes is that people get elected based on things that they do. Yes. Regarding Social Security. So we have to put pressure on our lawmakers to make sure that Social Security is there for us and that they make the proper decisions and not kick the can down the road.
Yeah, so it's our job as well as their job to make sure it is there for us. So the responsibility is always in our advocacy too, and that's a good reminder. What about Social Security credits? How many do we need to receive benefits? Are these sitting there in one little account for us, or is it collective? How do the credits work?
The credits are individual, and you get 1 credit per 1 quarter of work. You need 40 credits to collect Social Security. So today, they also have an earnings test. So it's $1,410 that you earn in that quarter.
Okay.
You know, you have to earn at least that much, or $5,640 a year, approximately. So.
Okay. In order to be sure that because it's possible not to qualify.
Right. If you don't have enough quarters of coverage, or credits as it's called now, you won't qualify, and you may have to work some additional quarters in order to qualify.
And how much can we expect to receive? Is it possible to estimate how much we're going to receive? Can we get a report to show how much we've currently qualified for?
Well, at age 60, I believe the Social Security Administration is sending out again the paper reports.
From the old days, yeah.
Yes, and that will tell you at age 62, early retirement, what your benefit might be, at full retirement age, and at 70, what your retirement benefit will be. You can also go to socialsecurity.gov and set up a login,
account, yeah.
And you can check that daily if you want.
So if you set up that account, yeah, you can go in at any time and know where you stand, make sure that you qualify, and know what your benefit might be. And will that report tell us what it would be if we retire early and claim at traditional age or delayed?
Yeah, it will tell you 3 different ages: 62, whatever your full retirement age is, so it's somewhere between 66 and 67 right now, and your age 70 benefit, which is the the oldest benefit that you should be claiming at.
And what are the factors? So we'll get right back to the benefits of claiming delayed or early. But just in general, what are the factors to consider as to when we do apply?
So there's so many different factors, and we use a lot of computer-generated scenarios for people to be able to see, you know, when is the best time or what works best for me. But it's hard to know. It can depend on your health. Right. It can depend, they'll say in the publications your life expectancy. None of us knows what our life expectancy is.
We don't. If only we knew the day and the hour.
Yeah. And, you know,
your need for income.
Your need for income. And finally, you know, what are your assets? Because your assets at that point should be used to help generate income that will supplement your Social Security.
So that's what the value of the financial planner helping you with your strategy is, because it's not just your Social Security, it's what other forms of income, if you have spousal income, to know whether you can delay and get the benefits of that. So it's just one piece of your entire financial plan.
It is, and it used to be, you know, at age 65 you got the gold watch and you went to Social Security and Medicare and you did it all at once. That was our parents' generation. Today you can be collecting Social Security and not be on Medicare. You can be, there's so many different scenarios that it really requires the advice of a planner to help you sort it all out.
Absolutely. There's only so much that we can handle ourselves. This is really the benefit, and this is why we bring you all these different experts who can help us with everything that we have to navigate for retirement. So it's wonderful that you're able to help us with this. So what about those differences between taking benefits early when we first are able to, then what would be considered no longer early, and about delayed?
So I was I was in anticipation of this question, did a couple of calculations. And, you know, if you get a full retirement benefit, which today is $3,000, $3,011 would be the max.
Right.
Okay. And if you collect it at 62, you would probably get about $27,000 a year.
Okay.
If you collect at full retirement age, and your full retirement age is 66, you'll probably get about $36,000 a year. And if you delay to age 70, it could be as high as $46,000 a year. So the difference could be as much as $20,000 a year difference in claiming at 62 and claiming at 70.
And if you make another 2 decades, so this is where we're talking about truly, it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And as we know, and as we've said many times, we are living that extra decade. Many of us are going to live to our 90s. So that can make a huge difference to the income we have through those years, and maybe help alleviate that fear of outliving our money, which many of our seniors have.
Well, it's the main concerns are health and wealth. And, you know, as far as my practice is concerned, we can help you with the wealth aspect of it. And there's just so many ins and outs.
Yes, yes.
But I have the same experience you have, which is seeing people living longer. You know, people are living well into their 90s, even if their parents didn't. And you have to plan for that.
Yes, absolutely. Because there's really not, it's not good quality in our later years if we have the health and we're still here and we really don't have the income to support that.
Yes.
So we have to consider everything. Now, if we do take that early retirement and we're still hale and healthy and we want to work, can we lock in that amount and then work as much as we want right up until we feel we don't want to work at all anymore?
If you retire early, there is an earnings limitation. So you can earn up to $18,420 in 2020 and not be penalized at all. So you can work, say, part-time, earn up to that limit and not give up any of your Social Security. However, if you exceed the $18,420, you're going to be penalized $1 of Social Security for every $2 that you earn. Additionally, in the first year of retirement, there are some other rules, but it's a little complicated
Yeah.
to talk about in this venue.
Now, if you retire at the age that you qualify, that's not considered early, can you work as much as you want?
Yes, if you, full retirement age in 2020 is 66 and 8 months. So if you are full retirement age, you can earn as much as you want. You could earn $250,000 and not be penalized anything on your Social Security.
Those super agers out there, take that on board. And indeed, we have some of the super agers. So when we talk about maximizing benefits, what are those the consideration? Is that what we're talking about?
It is partly what we're talking about, that if you delay, taking your benefit, you're going to get a lot more than if you take early. And yet the mindset with many people is, hey, I don't know if it's going to be there for me.
That's the thing.
And that is not the case. Social Security, I believe, will be there, especially for people near and at retirement right now.
Right.
So the longer you wait, the better off you are in terms of collecting Social Security. And, what we were talking about earlier, the difference between claiming early and at 70 is almost $20,000 a year at the maximum benefit. Think about that, because that's $20,000 your assets don't have to, or your work doesn't have to provide for you.
Yeah, and yet it's better for the Social Security Administration too, because less strain and therefore maybe more health of the administration. And then we might have a little bit more confidence that it is going to be there for us. What about married spousal benefits and divorce, and to what extent do we take our spouse into consideration when we're making our decision, and even if we have a divorced spouse?
It's enormous. It's an enormous consideration, especially when you're married, because we can coordinate spousal benefits depending on if we take, for example, a wife who has lesser earnings than her husband over the years. If she has less than 50% of his benefit, she's better off taking a spousal benefit based on his earnings.
Right.
If she has more than 50% of his benefit, then there are things we can also do to coordinate that. Sometimes you can claim it based on your own and switch to a spousal benefit, and so it's pretty complicated, and that's why we do these computer analyses, is to take a look and see what kind of scenarios work best for our client.
Yes, and so when the first of the spouses is ready and maybe qualifies, you really need to get that advice before either of them
Correct.
claims.
Right. You need to plan in advance. Now, with divorce, that's a different thing altogether. If you were married at least 10 years and you've been divorced for 2, and you're at least 62, you can claim a spousal benefit based on your former spouse.
Well, this is a surprise. I'm sure it's a surprise to many people.
Right, and that spouse doesn't know that you're claiming on their benefits, so you don't have to worry about, kind of creating problems.
Any kind of stress or
Right.
family conflict or, poking sleeping monsters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit that can be used where you can, claim a spousal benefit on a divorced spouse and then switch over to your own at 70. I mean, there's so many things that you can do, but you cannot have been remarried.
You cannot have been remarried, but what if your spouse is remarried?
That does not matter. Your spouse can have 20 different spouses collecting on their
Spousal
record.
benefit. Oh my.
And they all are entitled to it.
Oh my. That's really enlightening. And I'm sure there are many of our viewers who wouldn't have known that. What about now if we have that married couple and one passes away, where and how do you take survivor benefits into consideration?
So survivor benefits, this is where I think there are a lot of misconceptions. A survivor benefit is 100% of your deceased spouse's benefit. Okay, so unlike a spousal benefit, which would be 50%, a survivor benefit is 100%. So you would get 100% of your deceased spouse's benefit if it's greater than yours.
Oh, Always 100%.
Always 100%.
Yeah.
As long as everybody claimed at full retirement age. Now it can be it can be lessened depending on when the deceased spouse claimed and when the widow or widower claims.
Yeah.
But
oh boy, that's interesting. And what about taxes now? I believe when this program was first rolled out that we were told there would not be taxes on Social Security, but does the federal government in fact tax Social Security?
yeah, and I call that a tax on a tax.
Yeah.
Because we were already, the Social Security was a tax that we paid in.
Yeah.
And in the 1980s, a senator by the name of Daniel Moynihan introduced legislation that was put into law that if you had earnings as a married couple over $32,000 but less than $44,000, your Social Security would begin to be taxed. So you add, say, that piece of your Social Security to your other income on your tax return. As a married couple, if you have over $44,000 of income, up to 85% of your Social Security benefit can be taxed or added on, you know, the line with your other income. So it's something that can be planned for, and if you own municipal bonds, it can act as a it can cause your Social Security to be even more taxed. So if you've been using municipal bonds to avoid federal taxation for the purpose of Social Security, it gets added back into the equation as part of your income. So,
boy, so you know, we often think of financial planners, Sue Ellen, as helping us plan for retirement, but it seems like we really do need not just planning to have money for tuition and then for retirement, but that we really keep our financial planner in our lives, helping us make decisions about our income from our IRAs as well as our Social Security and how to plan and how to take it.
Yes, absolutely.
It really is a maze.
And sometimes, you know, well, today the rules have slightly changed beginning this year, but, you know, if you delayed taking Social Security to age 70, and you know that we must begin withdrawing from our retirement plans at 70 and a half. Now that just got moved up to 72 for people turning 70 and a half in this year. Those two converge together and can create taxable income that you didn't anticipate.
Right, yeah. That Secure Act has really had more downsides than up, but we don't get political on this show. What about the hold harmless rule?
So the hold harmless rule is, for example, this year Social Security benefits went up by 1.6%. That's a COLA based on the CPI, or the Consumer Price Index. And Medicare premiums went up by 6.67%. If this did not create a hold harmless situation, but if in dollars, the increase in your Medicare premium causes your Social Security to go down from the previous year, they don't let that happen. They don't let people have a lesser benefit in a year that the Medicare premiums exceed.
Well, that's a nice checks and balances right there. And you mentioned cost of living. So do we get, when we're getting Social Security, do we get that cost of living raise?
Yes, as long as there's inflation. Now, you know, in 2009, I believe, there was no recorded inflation, so there were no increases.
Okay.
It's based on always the previous year's inflation number. So in that period of time, the last big market downturn and the recession, one year, I believe it was 2008, the checks were increased by 6%. But in 2009, or in 2008, we had no inflation, so in 2009, the checks didn't go up at all.
So just remind us what inflation is exactly.
So the economic definition of inflation is a rise in prices without a rise in goods and services produced. What that means is it's the same loaf of bread, the price is going up.
Okay.
The price is going up, it's the same loaf of bread, there are no additional slices. That's inflation. It's a rise in prices.
And then we get that cost of living increase to buy our loaf of bread.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. For most of us, will Social Security, if we know what we're getting and we plan well, is it enough to live on in retirement?
You know, generally, no. it's not going to be enough to live on. It depends on probably what your pre-retirement income was.
Yeah. And your lifestyle?
What's your lifestyle? Often, you know, when I sit down and do projections, retirement projections for clients, you know, sometimes we have to say, okay, maybe you need to work part-time a couple years, or maybe we need to increase the assets, or maybe you should wait to retire or wait to claim your Social Security in order to make sure that they have a good retirement and not an anxiety-ridden retirement.
And hopefully have the health to be able to work those extra years so that you'll have more income in the later decades. So what about 2020? You talked a little bit about what the maximum benefit was in 2020. Did we talk about how much an individual's earnings can be taxed in 2020?
No, we haven't talked about that yet. So we're talking about people who are working, that Social Security taxes your earnings, and in 2020 that's at $137,700. So that's, if you earn over that amount, there will be no Social Security tax on those earnings.
Okay.
So it's one area I believe that they can raise that limit, you know, to help shore up the system. There's a lot of things they can do.
Yes, the resources and the time and the motivation has to be to go there. So if I'm 62 this year, what is my full retirement age?
Your full retirement age will be 66 and 8 months.
Okay, yeah, so that climbs up to you. But we are living
No,
longer.
wait, I'm sorry, 66 and 4 months, I believe.
Okay, yeah, we'll forgive that difference. But we are living longer, so that does, and we are healthier. We have greater health now. We have wonderful statins, so we're, you know, we are able to work longer. And because we are living those extra decades, it does make sense. It does make sense. So if the viewers want to contact you, so we've said that you teach at Moraine. Do you have anything coming up?
I do. On February 20th, I'm teaching a daytime class called Cutting Taxes on IRA Withdrawals, and that is from 1:30 to 3 in the afternoon. So it's for people who are pretty much already retired.
Yeah, and because of the changes, there was a law that just came into effect January 1st of this year, which does affect our IRAs and how we can stretch them. So it's really important to be informed about that, and I'm sure that's something that you'll be talking about.
It's been a very popular class, and I've been presenting it for years, and people keep signing up for it.
Yeah, so check out Moraine Valley's classes. Sue Ellen will be there. And how could they get a hold of you? At your office?
My office is located at 6600 West College Drive, and my phone number is 708-389-8318.
This has been fascinating. Now, we could spend another half hour talking about other aspects of financial planning and the Secure Act, but we'll leave it there. Maybe you'll come back later in the spring, and maybe we could talk a little bit more about some of those aspects that we just touched upon really briefly today. Any closing thoughts, any last words, anything you want to leave our audience with?
Just that I think in terms of claiming Social Security, it's so important that you use the services of a professional to help you make that decision. Often financial planners offer free consultations and can help you determine when the best time is to take your Social Security. But I don't think it's a throw the dart kind of thing that you should do, or just throw caution to the wind and say, I feel like retiring at 62, I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah.
Because what I've seen is just if you retire too early or collect Social Security too early, it creates a lot of anxiety, you know, if you're living on a shoestring. So,
and I think what I want our viewers to know is that it's not too late. So there are, of course, we hear that if you start saving at 18 or your first paycheck in your 20s, but there are viewers in their 40s and 50s who haven't had that traditional, maybe good advice, maybe their parents weren't savers. So if someone is in their 40s and their 50s and they're now really thinking, because retirement is real and their later decades are real, there are still some strategies. There's still lots they can do.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's always a chance, no matter what your age, to make things work more efficiently.
Yes.
And just an example, I had a client many, many years ago, and they had a lot of children. They had 6 children, and they put them all through college.
That's a lot of
and
tuition.
I mean, there was a reason they didn't have a ton of savings.
Yes.
But they were in a position at that point to do it. And as we did the projections, the answer was you need to save $20,000 a year. They did it.
They did it.
They had the most wonderful retirement, and they left a fabulous estate for their 6 children.
And you've had all these years, over 30 years, you've had many people grow with you, and I know that you have many people come back and say, I've had my secure retirement because of you, and thank you.
Thank you,
So that's
Eileen.
why you do what you do.
Thank you.
So thanks
so much, Eileen.
Swell, and that has been so helpful. I know you viewers will love it. If you have any questions, just call Sue Ellen. Her number will be on the screen. You can contact her with more questions. You can always contact me with questions or comments or suggestions and ideas for future shows. You can always call Carolyn Walsh. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on Where the Road Rises.